Okay, so the question, Dicken, uh, this is a question from someone, I won't mention the name. It says, is a free principles understanding, sorry, is a free principles understanding in part or just a cognitive intervention? I know it sometimes sounds that way when I hear people talk about how it helps them, as they often say things like that they remember that life works inside out and their thinking will change so they relax, which is a cognitive intervention, albeit a different one to that of CBT. I'd really like you to speak on that, as it still confuses me sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me a long time to really see that deeper, is that if for a moment, indulge me please, just for a moment, imagine that the whole universe is a bundle of energy, and that you include everything in the known and unknown universes in this bundle of energy. And some of this energy is formless, and some of it has taken form so that it's either visible or measurable, or it has something that it is created that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And Sid Banks would often talk about these two worlds, the world of infinite, boundless, formless energy that is impossible for any human being to imagine, because it's way beyond anything that people can conceive of by the intellect. And throughout history, there have been people that have discovered that we are all intimately connected to this energy, or some people call it spirit. Some people call it God. Some people call it the quantum field. Some people call it infinite energy. Sid Banks, when Sid Banks talked about thought, consciousness, or mind, he was pointing people toward this infinite formless energy. So thought is infinite formless energy that has the power to create everything that exists in every universe. I'd never heard anybody talk about thought that way. That's not cognitive. Let me tell you, I studied cognitive psychology for many, many years and taught my clients to pay attention to the content of their thinking, and I wasn't pointing people toward the infinite power and potential that can create any thought content. So it comes before technique, it comes before the intellect, it's pointing before any psychology content. It comes before our experience, it comes before our senses. As Sid Banks would often say, in his enlightenment experience, he realized what lie before time, before space, and before matter. So to get a glimpse, and I believe very, very deeply and have seen from my own experience over and again that any human being has the potential to get a glimpse that we are connected to something far greater than we had realized. And that anytime that happens for people, it helps them. It settles them down. It makes it more reassuring. It would be, for me, if I can use a metaphor, before I learned the principles, I was anxious all the time, or a large amount of time, except at certain times with friends or playing sports. I felt like a very little wave on the ocean, and I would look around and see other people and think that they were so much happier and better and didn't have my problems and didn't feel the way I felt. And so I felt very insecure because I was a very small wave. And Sid Banks came along and said, no wave is better than any other wave. They're all water and they're all connected to the same ocean. So when I began to realize that as a human being, the human part of me was my physical body and the content of my thinking and feeling, and yet the being part of me was never talked about in psychology. The being is the part that makes you who you are. It creates your particular humanness. It's the source behind your experience. And so the principles, when correctly understood, are waking up to something that lies before the content of experience, and how we're intimately connected with that intelligence, and that it is a beautiful and wise, and when we're in harmony with that incredible infinite beingness of life, when we're in harmony with that, you watch how it doesn't generate and create love and compassion and understanding. And it's really good news for all of us. I don't know if that was the... I don't know if that answers your question, but...
Again, Dicken, I think you just answered all the questions. Yeah, well, absolutely.
It's not cognitive psychology. That's the short answer. It's not pointing toward the content of thinking and feeling and experience. And the inside talked about by Sydney Banks is different than the inside talked about by a lot of people. Most people, when they think of inside, think of thought content that's going on in your head or brain activity, or they think of feelings as inside. And for Sid Banks, that's all part of the outside world. That's already taken form. That's visible. That's measurable. It moves. Anything that moves is in the world of form. It has shape, right? And the inside Sid was talking about was completely formless energy that is impossible to be understood by the intellect, but that as human beings we can intuit it. And people have been intuiting the truth of that for centuries.